Ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Menopause Made Easy with Tanya. I am in the company of a beautiful spirit today, Dori Martin, and we're going to talk about midlife mayhem. And Dori is helping women move through exhaustion and brain fog and just that, oh my gosh, that feeling off in spite of what we think we might be doing right, but maybe we're not. So we're going to update some information. We're going to talk about some great things that you can do today. So thank you, Dori, for joining me. Pleasure to have
Thank
you here
you.
today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have this conversation with you.
Yay, just before we hit record, we found out we're the same age. We both
Yes,
have two boys that are approximately the same age. We're both going through a lot of the same things together. So, this is a beautiful time. And we both really ooze health and health span and what can we do to live most vibrantly during this time of our life. And so, what would you like to start with, Dory? What is on your heart to open up today?
thank you. Yeah, I guess what the conversation you were having just before you hit record is really, really fascinating. But it's like we have so much great options available to us. And I think that if we use them wisely, we can actually make a lot of good things happen. But I feel like, yeah, a lot of the foundations of health are lost in the process, our primal bodies and what we need. And we've moved away from that. We've kind of muted the messages that our bodies are giving us. And we
Mhm.
were talking more specifically about like, the GLP-1s that we're taking right now. I know it's doing a lot of good, but at the same time, there's like you can use it for a benefit or you can misuse it. And I think that's a lot of what's happening. And I think it goes along with a lot of even really good health advice that we're getting about foods that we want to eat and exercise and those kinds of things. I think that there's like a sequence of how you do that. If you jump the gun and you've missed out on the foundational things, you're actually potentially asking your body to do more than it can at the moment, or you're masking things. And I think that is, like you were saying, we're not teaching what your body really needs. We're actually just kind of manipulating and forcing it to do things. And
Yeah.
sustainability of that is not going to be good. We were both talking about how we're concerned about that going forward. What's that going to mean for the state of health for everybody?
Yes, we're living in a very interesting time because we're not short on information.
Right.
So we have all this information. So we may be in a overwhelmed period now of what do I do, what do I not do. I also feel like it's really important to understand your beliefs and to challenge them, which I have done. And sometimes that takes really stepping away from your ego because your ego wants to be right. So we can talk about a few things in that arena. But we both agree that there are certain foundational things that are just crucial and they're boring and everybody's looking for the shiny stars. And
Right.
I'm sure you talk about this a lot with your clients, but if you build a house, you don't start with the walls, you start with the foundation. You don't start with the
Exactly.
roof, you start with the foundation. You don't even think about paint colors. So it's this
Right.
foundational, these basic foundational habits that, so we were mentioning before we hit record. And listen, I'm all about, I want a quick fix. I'm not going to lie. I'm human, but I don't anymore. I did for years. I tried to find the quick fix to get over my sugar addiction, to drop weight, to be healthy. And I actually just kept moving myself further and further away from where I wanted to be because with all of these extra stressors and gimmicks, I was actually ruining my health in the process, but I didn't realize that at the time. And
Yeah, me
so
too.
yeah, so we're really looking for, where you have had enough and
Right.
right? And you're like, okay, give me the basics. Okay, now first before we give the basic story, what are some things that you did that you were trying to do some quick fixes? So let's be honest so that people know
Right.
like we're human. I'm not sitting here telling everybody to do things where I will openly admit, like I tried the diet thing, I did the starvation thing, I over exercise, I restricted, I did
All of
calories
the
in,
above.
calories
Oh
out.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I
Um,
ate nothing but soup for a while. You know,
yeah.
those crazy things that we learn to do, and
Oh,
yeah,
I
over
took fiber
exercising.
pills when I was a teenager. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm trying to
Can't
think of
forget that one.
yeah, I'm trying to think of some things that because I was not so much into pills because I don't think
Mhm.
we had the pills the same. So it was more a manipulation of calories in, calories out that I
Any
switched from.
iteration of that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Or I mean, for me, in my case, I just stopped eating. You know, I stopped
Mm,
eating. I had like a bunch of different eating disorders, and so I get the quick fix thing. And when you're young, maybe not even when you're young, there's just so much pressure, and you get fixated on your size. And at some point, I remember I had so much brain fog, cystic acne. I couldn't get through a lecture. I was in college and went vegan, didn't know how to do that. And it was a disaster. And I realized at some point, much later, I really wanted to just be healthy and I wanted to feel good in my body. I was so tired of fighting it all the time. And
oh
that's
yeah.
literally what you're doing when you're doing all those things, right? And we weren't designed that way. And so at some point, you start realizing that being healthy and just feeling good in your body instead of fighting it and judging it on all those other things. And it still comes up. I mean, that programming is still in me. Like you said,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. There's no apex of like, look, I've made it. Everybody watch me. It's you know, every day you're thinking, you're making decisions, and you're you know always working on your habits, and it takes a bit of time. And as you said, it's not sexy, but boy does it work.
Yes.
And that's amazing. I mean, then you're not fixated, because what I keep hearing from clients and friends about their weight, it's always about their body size, health, not about how healthy they are, how strong they are, what their body composition is, their energy, their mood, their sleep, their vitality. It's about their dress size. And it's just one of those things where if you shift the lens, you start realizing, wow, I have so much energy. I'm not crashing by the middle of the day,
Yeah.
or I'm not needing to eat every hour on the hour, or I feel like I'm going to lose my mind. And
And
so,
and sometimes we forget what actually is normal. And
mhm,
I will say that marketing does a really good job of confusing us because we're
yes,
told to eat
absolutely.
every couple hours to keep your blood sugars up, which is in my
Not
opinion, is not
true.
correct,
Not true. Yeah.
right? We need, in many of my episodes, I've talked about being a fat burner versus a sugar burner. And if you keep feeding yourself, you're not tapping into the fat stores.
Right.
Right? So you've
Right.
turned off that messaging, that signaling in your body because it's like, I'll just keep the fat on my body because I know she's
Right.
going to feed me in half an hour. I mean, I heard one day that the average, not, I wonder if it was the average person, but some people are eating like 20 times a day. A little here, a little nibble there, a
Right.
snack, a meal. And when you don't give your body time to like digest and rest, you're
Exactly.
really you're breaking so many signals. And so I think in this new era that we're living in, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a pill, there's a potion, there's a lotion, whatever it is." And those things may seem like they work, but
Right.
they don't. Unless you're going to commit to the rest of your life taking them, because what you're doing is, yes, we were just talking about this before we hit record. You can take a GLP-1, drop the weight, but this fellow that Dori was talking about, or this person, is not eating a proper diet.
Right.
They're eating too, like they're eating Oreos. And listen, I have nothing against eating junk food every once in a while, but it's the foundational basic nutrition of getting micronutrition. And if you listen to my episode with Carolyn with Beam Minerals, we really talk about the importance of micronutrition, which is building your bones and your muscles. So, what would you say to
Right.
people? Like, what are some of your foundational recommendations that you say?
Yeah, I mean, just following up to what you were saying, minerals are a huge part of the foundation. They are the spark plugs to your body. And
Mhm.
when people aren't eating, I mean, so like you said, in Oreo, there's a place for it. But then when you use it as a foundation, like I'm talking about, that's a meal for, the person that I'm thinking about, then you're not getting any nutrients. Quite the opposite. You're actually depleting it even further because you actually need minerals, more minerals to burn through those carbs versus other kinds of nutrients. But minerals are very foundational. We're overfed and
Oh
undernourished.
my
I
God,
mean,
you're speaking
right?
my language. That's what I
Right?
always say.
Yes, for sure, right? So we're getting a lot of calories, right? But we're not getting nutrition. And that's part of the reason why cravings happen. Your body, in its innate intelligence, is saying, hey, I got shortchanged here on the nutrient piece of things. I know you ate that meal, but I don't have anything that I need to function. Minerals are the spark plugs to your body. And so basically, if you don't have enough of it, you don't really have cellular energy. And I run this test that actually showed you what's going on with your minerals. And so foundationally, you need to have enough to build energy. Magnesium, zinc, sodium, all these things are the sodium, potassium pump to even generate their spark energy in your body. And actually, your body and its intelligence will slow your metabolism down when it's not getting enough of the nutrients that it needs. And so when you're looking at calorie in, calorie out, it's not really that. I have a mentor I worked with that said your body is not a bank account, it's a chemistry lab. And so
Yeah.
you're looking at these things in addition to hormones and other things. But foundationally, you want to get real nutrients into your body to fuel your beautiful body with the fuel that it needs, real fuel, not like processed things. Then, add on the other, those are like, extras, right? Those are the pretty pillows and the other things. You can have that after you have your foundation. And so nutrients and your, vitamins and those kinds of things that you get in whole food. Nature in its intelligence gives the entourage of all the minerals and vitamins so that you can absorb it properly. Minerals are also known to, antagonize each other if you just eat one. And so a lot of times you want it in food form. So that's not going to cost you more, right? That's fantastic. So that they can actually help each other be absorbed and utilized. The other thing is just things like getting out into the sunshine. We're complicated plants. So we need sunshine in order to flourish. It tells us when to do what in your body, when to make hormones, when to generate energy, when to, digest, all these things, when to sleep, when to wake up and start your day. And then hydration, right? As you just took a sip of your water. A lot of us are dehydrated, running around dehydrated. A lot of times when we're feeling like we're hungry, it's because we're dehydrated. And so these are not sexy, but these are the foundations that really help shift things, real nutrients, having sunshine, getting out in nature, and giving the cues of the sunshine, vitamin D, all the things that help you with giving like vitality. So think of a plant that's never seen the sunshine, that you never water, that don't have the right minerals in their soil, right? And then just also rest. I mean, we are such doers, especially midlife women, and we have so many responsibilities, and we're at a certain place in our careers. Maybe we're a sandwich generation. All these things are happening right now, and our bodies are changing on us, right? And so there's a lot of stuff going on. Our brains are changing, our energy is changing, the way we use fuel is changing, our hormones are shifting. And as you had said before, it's like we've got puberty, and now this is just another shift, hormonal shift, like puberty. And so a lot of us aren't prepared for it. So a lot of it is about awareness and giving ourselves these foundational things that our body needs in order to thrive. And then we can stack additional things like what color do we want to paint the walls? What kind of walls? And all the fixtures and lighting and everything is great. But without that foundation, your body's not going to be able to sustain what you're doing. And that includes like, GLP-1s and even with hormones, it'll make everything work better when your body has the energy to use these additional things and inputs. And they should be not front and center, but maybe enhancers and then go away. They're never meant to be something, maybe hormones for certain people, but something that you use forever because that you're muting, as you said, the signals that your body is trying to give you. Plus, we can make our own GLP-1s. And so when you're using it exogenously, what kind of signals are you giving you? But you don't have to. But our bodies can, through nutrition and a bunch of other things, we can actually, and have been, we're dampening it, and we're making it so that your body's not able to do it by itself. And we want to be able to do that. That is true health, to be able to not rely on these additional things to be able to be healthy and thrive. And I know you and I mean, that's our goal. We don't want to stack more things that are going to mute what our body really wants. We want to give it to our bodies and let it do its own thing, which it's
Yeah.
designed to do.
It can be very challenging in this world because like you said, all of those things, none of those things that you mentioned are difficult.
Right.
Drinking water, getting out in sunshine. I mean, I do a whole circadian rhythm. I've been teaching that for years. How
Hmm.
disconnected we are from the earth, from the sun, from light and dark cycles. Get those
Right.
are all signals, everybody. Your body, like you said, is a chemistry set. That's what I've said to people. Like we are not a math equation. And so if you take, I'm going on a lot of different tangents here, but if people just look at calories and there's no nutrient density to their food, it's not going to help you long term. So it's really looking at nutrition, minerals, sun, getting the signaling. We get signals from our food, we get signals from the
Right.
sun, we get signals from darkness. And so I think what happens is overwhelm, stress, um,
Right.
this panic,
Hmm.
it's like I want it now. I don't want to like do these basic things because that's going to take a year. But I'm going to tell you something, everybody. The people I've worked with that have the most success are the people who finally say, okay, I'm going to listen to you. I'm
There you
not
go.
going to
Yep.
go after the quick fixes anymore. I'm done. And as soon as they have that mindset switch and they are able to go on a journey, which means we're not going to do everything tomorrow. So, for example, I was just talking to one of my a client, and I said, all I want you to focus on this week is drinking 2 glasses of water before your coffee. It's going to help
Mhm.
lower your blood pressure. You get dehydrated overnight. That's it. Okay. So that's like, yeah, I can do that. Okay, do it because you
Right.
forget, you don't want to drink the water, like things start to happen. But the idea is you build in these 2 glasses of water, then you have your coffee. In fact, I would be adding protein before coffee, but anyway. Um, but
Right.
then we add on another layer and we add on another layer, right? And so
Mhm.
now those 2 glasses of water are just, you don't even think about them anymore. They're just the 2 glasses of water. But do you know how challenging it is for some people to get that habit going?
Yes, and they're worried about having to go to the bathroom all the time, and it's like, wait, but the thing about it is, as you said, these are your body's basic needs. And
Yes,
so these are small levers, but they are so powerful. I
there's,
mean, I work with women in burnout. It was weight loss resistance, but I didn't want to focus on that. Um, and these things are the biggest needle movers out of, you get your energy back and you don't feel like you're constantly stressed out and exhausted and brain fog and sluggish energy, and you just never feeling like you are like completely there. You don't feel like yourself, right? And a lot of people chalk it up to menopause. Yes, I mean that, but the thing is it's amplified because our hormones were protecting us from everything. But there's so many things that were happening underneath it all quietly, but we were able to mask it. And or like our go lifestyle, that cortisol was giving us, or the sugar,
yeah.
right? But when those go away, what's really been happening underneath it all suddenly is not masked. And now you get to deal with it or continue with your, this is like a crossroads. And like you said, because these are so foundational and boring, people roll their eyes. But are you doing it? Right?
Are
Are
they
you
doing?
doing it?
Well, that's what I say to them.
Right?
Are you doing it? They go, yeah, yeah. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. But give me
what's
that
the
other
other
thing.
thing? They're like, no, but I have cravings at 3 o'clock. And so, but I'm like, no, 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 no. See, you're focusing on the problem. So we're not going to focus on the problem. We're going to focus on the fact that if you drink water, increase your nutrition, get outside in the morning, you're not going to have those cravings. But what
Right.
I did for
It's
years is I looked at those cravings and I resisted. And then I'm like, trying not to eat because I didn't fix the problems of the blood sugar
Right.
dip, the out of control cravings, the um, sugar roller coaster I was on, the emotional
Right.
eating, all of these things. So you have to really have somebody who's going to take a wide view and be like, you know what? As soon as we do some of these foundational things, it's just going to disappear. But you have
Right.
to trust me. Trust me, because I've been doing it a long time. They will disappear. But when you focus on the problem, you're not you're not getting this
You're
broad
not
view.
addressing the root cause. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
looking at basically, I would call it the symptom of it. And also I would say that you will never outpace your body chemistry and your primal signals. And that's what's happening. You're not addressing what your body needs. And so your chemistry in your body is telling you, hey, this is out of balance. And it comes up into those cravings and bad sleep and mood swings and brain fog. And so, right, you're addressing the immediate thing happening, but really what's going on is you're not giving your body the foundations of what it needs. It's like a baby, right? The baby's going to keep crying. You can give the baby all these other things, but if actually it's just really cold, it's going to keep crying. It's not going
Yeah.
to. You can
Yeah. Your
maybe it's
body's
exhausted. It'll
screaming.
go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that 3 o'clock craving is a message that
Right.
something is
Right.
not functioning properly in your body. So
Hmm.
listen, I was there for years, everybody, but then like I said, I let go of the whole diet mindset. I let go of speed. I just dove into being on a journey. And I tell you, my life is just, I don't even, this person, I used to be sick. I mean, all of these things have just disappeared. So it is believing you have to have some level of belief that these foundational things that we're talking about really make a difference.
Right.
And at the beginning, they can feel tedious, no, well, maybe tedious or like they're not doing much, but you're setting up a very strong foundation. I know we keep using that word, but it's so important.
It is,
I
yes.
have people that come to me for weight loss and they're like, okay, well, tell me what to eat and how to move my body. And I'm like, nope. Okay, what's your stress like? Right? Are you getting what signals are happening in your body? And so I don't give people meal plans. I don't know what you do, but I'm like, you're not going to follow a meal plan for the rest of your life of what I give you. I want to see what you're eating and then make some tweaks. Like, and I usually start with breakfast all like first because that is again a foundational meal for your
Foundation
day,
sets the tone for the rest of
sets
the
the
day.
tone.
Yeah.
And so, what are some strategies that you use? And which clients do you work with mostly? Like, I know you're women like I am, burnout.
Mhm. Yeah, women in burnout and who feel like, they have brain fog, they don't feel like themselves anymore, and they are doing all the things, following all the narrative, but nothing's working. And it is because, that's the punchline because the foundations aren't in place. And
Yeah.
so that's really where I start. And as you said, I think that you can use a meal plan as a template, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be the right one for everybody. Everybody's chemistry is different, lifestyle is different, situation. And I think that it's a good thing to begin to kind of understand. I didn't know, Tanya, what it felt like to be full for the longest time. You know what I mean? Or what a real portion size was. And it's different. I mean, people are measuring out the amount of protein they're supposed to be eating now. It's supposed to be, 30 grams is the basic, or you're going to lose your muscle mass. But what if you're not making digestive enzymes, you're not able to break it down and absorb it? Or what about, I mean, they do account for size and everything, but you've got to look at like what's going on with your chemistry right now and what you're actually able to handle. Otherwise, just following these bits of advice without understanding what you actually need because it's different for everybody is actually
Mm-hmm.
going to harm you. And so there's no like these rules. I mean, I understand they're there and there's a rule of thumb and all the other things, but if you don't have those foundations of be able to break it down and absorb it, then what's the point? You're actually just adding more that your body can't do and overwhelming it.
Yeah.
And so
So
I
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that something I forgot to mention that is like a huge part of the foundation, but we I kind of mentioned it was like, is your nervous system regulated? Is your body feeling safe or not safe? Because with all the rush, 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 with a lack of sunshine, with a lack of hydration, with a lack of nutrition, and also our brains are always thinking about the next thing. We're not even really present. You could sit there and be thinking about your to-do list and all the things and what you have to get done and all the stressors and all um, your body is with all these thought patterns and mindset. It's saying like, I'm not safe. There's stuff I have to do. And so just being present is not a big part of what we do. And a lot of my women that I talk to, just sitting there and doing nothing for 15 minutes is super stressful. They'd rather go run or do something, get on the gym, hit it, go hit training or something, because we're not conditioned to be okay with just being. And that is actually because it's chronic. A state where your body feels like, I mean, to oversimplify, right? We're either in fight, flight, or fawn and freeze, or rest, digest, and recover. And a lot of us are rarely in that rest and recover state. And so, if that's the case, then your nervous system is running on overdrive. And then you're not going to, I mean, all the foundational things are not going to come online. We don't need to procreate when we're stressed out, right? So, hormones are going to go sideways no matter what you do. And then we're not going to sleep because we're going to be hyper vigilant because we're kind of in danger. There's stuff to do. We got to go, go, go. And then also, you're not going to make digestive enzymes to break down and absorb the food you're eating. Doesn't matter how healthy it is, because again, when you're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, you're not going to digest food. Your priority is always going to be about safety. And so I talk a lot about, do you feel safe in your body, and does your body have these primal inputs, these foundations that are signaling safety? Are you hydrated? Are you breathing properly? So I actually start there. I mean, during the pandemic, I ended up getting certified as a yoga teacher, meditation, breath work, took a trauma healing course, because a lot of us, especially because of that situation, have experienced something traumatic, and we've shifted how we look at the world. It wasn't safe and we didn't know what was going to happen. And a lot of us, when we get into that experience, it doesn't just shift out. We have to signal to our body. It's become the normal. We're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And that's the thing. Cortisol starts spiking, your blood sugar, that's what your body is actually trying to do. Throw sugar at your body so that you can save yourself, run, fight, whatever you need to do. And that chronic sense of I'm not safe, if you don't address it and recalibrate it, could be what's been running underneath it all, creating this state of not being able to feel healthy, not being able to rest, restore, recover, absorb your nutrients. And, if it is about, body composition, it's going to increase that visceral fat, especially around the waist near your organs, because you're trying to protect yourself. And so I find that to be a very huge part of the foundation, because without that, you're not going to be in that rest and digest state. So that's one of the places where I start. And I do like, for those that need to quantify it, looking at, I'm an FDN, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, which is a long way of saying that I use functional labs to see what's going on with a person's body so that you can customize it. But why not start with your nervous system is in fight mode or freeze mode? Let's get it back online, and then let's give it inputs and signals, like, we scrunch over or we're tense. And so
Mhm.
your body posture, are you breathing in? A lot of us aren't, and it's the strongest signal to your body you're safe, because you're not going to inhale deeply and exhale deeply when you're in danger. And so, like, a full body diaphragmatic, your belly's moving. A lot of times when I ask people to breathe, only their upper body is, the upper
Mhm.
is moving, not the full body belly breath. And then their posture is hunched over, especially when we're on our screens and everything. So I actually start with these things, which seems counterintuitive, but it's the lever that shifts everything. It's a big foundation of health and wellness, and the biology of I'm okay, so let's turn systems on.
Yeah. You know what? That's brilliant because I too start typically I'll give everybody a little diet thing like water or
Mhm,
if you're eating cereal, can you add an egg? And
mhm,
then I am huge on circadian rhythm. Like get
right.
outside, don't look at your phone first, set all the signals, nature. So I really spend a lot of time and it sounds easy everybody, but again, practicing this through seasons and work and different changes of life can be challenging. And then yesterday, actually, I taught a fascia relaxation class.
Oh, I
Do
love
not
that.
underestimate the power of fascia and breath work. And so I
Yes,
too am a yoga
absolutely.
instructor, Pilates instructor, fascia, personal
Beautiful.
trainer, blah, blah, blah. But yes, the I truly believe, and and for years I was stuck in that fight, flight, freeze. Totally. Didn't even didn't even think to rest. Why would
Mhm.
I? And
Much to do, right?
yeah, it's only in this last, I don't know, maybe 10 years, where actually it's about 15 when I started rolling, where I got on a roller and literally within 2 weeks, I said to my class, Does anybody else feel calmer? And we had just really slowed down, and I've never stopped. And, when I have people in my classes, they will be like, first of all, I didn't even know how to breathe.
Mhm.
Secondly, I didn't even realize I couldn't relax,
Right.
because if you don't have
It's your normal.
right,
Yeah.
if
There's
you
no point
don't
of
have
reference.
contrast, it's very challenging.
Yes.
When somebody says to relax and they watch Netflix, that's not relaxing. Relaxing is really, really coming into your body and noticing where you're holding tension and where you need to let go. And so, again, are you willing to do this work of some pretty foundational things where, I was just reading this where, I mean, as kids, we're born in the 1970, we were outside, we were on our bicycles, we were
Yeah.
playing in the dirt, we were
Constantly.
swimming in lakes. And now they're talking about how these kids are wearing glasses at the age of 4 in epidemic rates
And
because
blood
their
sugar
eyeballs
issues and
are just
yes.
being narrowed onto screens. And so
Yes.
we are living in an entirely different world. And so you really have to, and I use this word a lot with people, be intentional about
100%. Yes.
what we need to do. We need to be outside. We need to be grounding. We need to be off phones and screens. And we need to connect with nature, and we need to eat whole foods. Again, like, again, coming back to, I think we'll call this foundations. Actually, I'll come up with something better, but
I know,
um
right? It's not very sexy. I also think about that. Well, we'll collaborate on that. But as
yes.
you said, like, what did our great grandparents do? I mean, we're seeing a lot of childhood cancers now. It's really frightening. I mean, I started in this whole space in the world of cancer, and like a lot of it is lack of foundation, plus toxins, right? We didn't talk about that, but that's the other thing. I mean, it's a toxic world that we live in, and so that is getting into our bodies. And again, that goes back to the lab that I look at. It actually looks at toxic metals. And all of us have some form, and it's going to impact all the things, your mood, your energy, and all of those, other foundational things. But why not turn on the body's natural ability to heal? And these are the things we're talking about. And I love what you said about fascia. I used to be a body worker. I used to work with weekend warriors. And the thing that I love about that is that we do hold tension in our bodies. It's where a lot of the emotions are stored. And so it sounds woo, but we're finding out more and more about that. And also like yoga, and we already knew that the mind and body connection is real, and we're having more evidence that's showing that's the case. And so when your body is tense and rigid, you're holding in one position, it's not fluid, then you're not able to have your energy flow properly. uh, you can talk about meridian energy, and you can talk about literal energy, right? Because that's
Mm.
fascia is where your body carries all the nutrients and fluids and oxygen and everything that you need. And also, like, if you ever felt like the pain in different areas of your body, I mean, it's actually message talking to you. A lot of times, migraines, tension in your head, and all these areas are locking down, and it's because you're stressed out and that you're dehydrated, because fascia needs hydration and all these other things. So it is very much interconnected. And as you and I are talking, people are thinking, oh my goodness, there's so many. That's why I really do. I mean, I'm just going to say it, work with somebody who knows how to get it done. Success leaves clues. And I remember I got to this space, much like what you were saying. This is just me. I'm always going to be somebody who can't handle carbohydrates and sugar. And I'm always going to be that person who just, I can't do it all. I can't be that person who is healthy and is able to hold all, I mean, do all these things, the habits. But it's like, I love what you were describing what you do. You don't take away everything, you start putting things in. And you
Mhm.
start using the smallest steps because that's how habit works. There are some people who are all in kinds of people. Okay. But then I think most of us busy and we're so entrenched in our habits, it's really valuable just to do the next small thing and next small thing. And you get so motivated when you start realizing that small thing shifts things. And
Mhm.
then that's when you're like, okay, what else? Right?
Yeah. And you know what? Like I always say to people, I don't care how much weight you lost in 3 months. I care 2 years from now, are you still at that weight? Like, have you maintained? Because people
Right.
can lose weight. I'm more about can you keep it off? That's why I
Right.
don't go for speed. I'm
Yep.
not about speed. And I've worked with people who have lost a lot of weight. And they've had people, and they'll come up to them and say, "You should be losing weight faster." And I said, "No, no, your body needs to recalibrate. Your habits need to recalibrate. Your lifestyle needs to recalibrate. We're not in a race.
Right.
Weight loss and health are not a race.
Right.
You did not get here overnight. Like, I'd love to dive for you to dive into cancer if you want to talk about, but cancer doesn't show up because of something you did last week. Cancer
Right.
shows up because of your habits and your predispositions, perhaps, and your epigenetics, so your lifestyle, which triggers certain things. I've talked a lot about this in the past.
Hmm.
And so there's certain things you cannot control. I can't control where the 5G towers go up and all, like, but
Yeah.
so I can't like lose my mind on those things, but so what can I control?
Right.
What can
Right.
I control, right? And then
Right.
I start to work
Exactly.
with those things, because if I start to think about all the things I can't control, talk about a stress response, right? You
Exactly.
just feel
Right.
out of control,
Mhm.
defeated. No. So let's come back into what can you control as you move throughout your day. You can control your thoughts. That's a very interesting one, right? What are
Mhm.
you thinking about? I just spent a session with a client this morning. We were working on body scans and breath work. And then some people are like, I don't find value in that. I want to be doing a HIT class. I'm like, well, if you're stressed and you're doing HIT, your body thinks you're in danger. You're going to hold on to fat. You're not. I mean, this is the unwinding of beliefs, though.
Right, because it's clear that what we've been doing has not been working. And I don't like hitting my head against the same wall over and over again.
I
And
did that.
so, like, what is it that you haven't been doing? And maybe try that. And it is a lot of the foundations. I find a lot of people aren't doing that. But as you said, with epigenetics, I mean, epigenetics, they say that, okay, let's conservatively 80% of what you're doing is lifestyle, and then those things can offset what your genetics have been programmed for. And so it's got a lot bigger of an influence than your genetics. And a lot of the cancers aren't genetics. A lot of them are lifestyle and different things that you've been doing that you didn't know about. We weren't taught these things, right? We weren't taught that, as you said. I mean, a lot of times 5 or 10 years before, prior, something had happened and it started this whole situation where cancers develop. It's been happening in the background for a really long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is, they say something catastrophic happens. So we go back again to your nervous system and some kind of stress, but something stressful, maybe within the last 5 years, even 10 years, that has never been resolved has happened. So it shut everything down. And in my
Mm.
situation, I started because a loved one had a terminal diagnosis, get your affairs in order. But so I did a deep dive and I was already a functional diagnostic nutritionist. But to oversimplify, it's because of nutrient deficiencies, it's because of a toxic burden your body can't get rid of. It's something about your mindset, black and white thinking, stress, having to do for everybody else, even caregivers, especially, right? We know that people who care for other people, women, this is why women are very susceptible and to autoimmune as well. And so all of these things are things that set up a body, and blood sugar imbalance for sure, gut issues, right? And so
Mhm.
there are a lot of things that we're learning right now where you can do things with your lifestyle that can actually person I'm talking about, the family members here 12 years later with a terminal diagnosis of get your affairs in order. There's nothing we can do.
Oh, so
So
she's still popping
lifestyle.
along.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't the allopathic that actually did more damage. But no, I mean it's lifestyle. It's nutrition
I
is a
know.
big
And you
part
know
of it.
what? That's another whole
Such good
belief where
medicine.
people really want to hold on to genetics because then they have like a get, this is what I hear, for example. Oh, I have diabetes, but it runs in my family. It's genetic. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm like, well, actually, type 2 diabetes. Now, if it's type 1, fine. If
That's
it's
something
type
else.
2
Yeah.
diabetes, it's a
Right.
lifestyle disease. No, no, it
Exactly.
runs in my family. No, no. So there's that belief. If you want to attach onto a belief so strongly, then go for it. But
Yeah.
I know too much. I've seen too many people like you. It's less than 20% genetic. In some cases, they say 1 to 5%
Right.
of our being is run by genetic. It's the lifestyle. So we have to look at what's happened over the years where we have people who didn't need glasses until they were 50, okay? And now they need glasses at 8, and people go, oh, it's just genetic. We have bad eyes. No, it's because now we're staring at screens and blue light, and we're not looking at the horizon. We're not looking far away, so we're not evening out our eyeball. It's getting squished.
Right.
And there's some people who will understand this, and there's other people that will say, no, it's just genetics. And if you're in the
Right.
genetic camp,
We can't help you,
I
right?
cannot help you.
We can't change that mindset. Right. And again, it goes back to even with the eyes, right? I mean, it's a part of our brain, but also we're not using it the way it was designed. It was never
Exactly.
designed to look at like a few feet in front of you. It was supposed to be looking out
Scanning.
and in and right. And
Yes.
so yeah, absolutely. Again, it goes back to the bottom line, I think, of a lot of it is we're not in an environment that is conducive to health anymore. We've been like domesticated to the point where we can't be healthy with the foods we eat and the environments. I mean, some people never get outside. They never put their feet on the ground.
93% of people, humans, are inside or in their car.
If you
Mo-
do this to your dog, or let's say your plant, but your dog, I mean, never take him for a walk and you give him Kool-Aid and soda pop, and people would be mortified. And then whatever's coming out of them when they go for a walk, if they even go for a walk, right? Um, it wouldn't be normal. And you'd be like, that's happening to us, or we're not going at all. A lot of us are constipated, right? And it's like, that's okay. No, it's not. You'd
no.
freak out if it were your animal, your dog, your cat. So
You
it
know,
is a
I,
lot.
I wrote something down the other day because where is it in here? But yeah, some people can help their dogs more than they can their pets more than they can help themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Yes, so true. Yeah, they will take action very quickly and do what needs to be done. And they're aware of these prime it need your dog needs fresh water and food with nutrients, right? You're not going to give them Doritos and call it good, or a few Oreos and call it good, right?
no.
I mean, people don't do that to their dogs, but we do that to ourselves and wonder what's going on when we're not feeling so great.
Yeah, well, it's the silent collapse. That's what I wrote down yesterday. The silent collapse, the accumulation
Mm,
of these small things over time. And it's lack of
yes.
sunshine, lack of sunlight, lack of outdoor, non-native EMF, artificial blue light exposure, environmental toxins, chronic infections, poor mitochondrial functioning, chronic stress, inflammation, nutrient deficiency, dehydration, poor circadian rhythm, lack of grounding. We won't even get into deuterium. And then
Yes.
low levels of phospholipids, because when I look at people now, I look at them as cells. Like I've been looking at them this way for a long time. And we are not protecting our cell membrane. We don't know how to make structured water. Well, actually, our bodies do know how to make structured water, but because of these silent things that we're taking away, our body is not making the same structured water that it used to, which plays into hydration, because it's not just about the water you drink, it's about actually hydrating your tissues and having the water go into your
Get
cells.
in, right? Can it get into your
Yeah,
cells, or is it just going through you?
yeah.
And
So
like you
this is
said, go ahead.
I
Sorry.
was going to say it's not always about drinking more water. It's about having your container, the place that you live in, being able to absorb the nutrients, absorb the hydration. So if you're missing your circadian rhythm and grounding and all of these things, you're missing the picture. So I talk about that we're all puzzles and we have all these
Yeah.
pieces and we're just focusing on diet and exercise. That's just, oh my God,
Right.
it's just, and we're not looking at how to put all these pieces together. And so it's individual. And like you said, with a meal plan, I give people good, better, best. So I say, what are you eating? This is a step we can do. This is what I'd like to see. But let's gradually get there because, like I said, I want you to be eating this way, not just for the next week. That's a diet, right? I want you to embrace these changes. So, yes, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I mean, with foundations, like you said, the cells, the mitochondria, the generator of energy, like we are like plants. We are getting our energy from the sunshine and hydration. But as you said, not all water is the same. I mean, there's something called the gel water, structured water, that's similar to the water in your body. So when you drink this, like that water, that's like the kind that's existing in our bodies, it's able to absorb it and take it in and use it for whatever it needs to do, including creating energy. And so I think that, I mean, if I wanted to break it down to the very foundational issue, it's like you said, cellular mitochondrial energy is the problem. Why we can't detox and why our metabolism is slowing down. When you have your nervous system on a higher alert all the time, your mitochondria isn't only there to create energy, but also to detect safety or danger, and it begins to shut down. And it's called, cell danger response, right? And so it starts slowing everything down on purpose because it's like, oh, wait a minute, not getting the nutrients we need. We're not safe. So let's stop. And so
Mm-hmm.
basically, from a mineral perspective, with the labs I look at, calcium starts going high and then magnesium starts going down. I mean, sorry, phosphorus. And so your metabolism, your body, your systems, everything your body does to maintain you begins to slow down on purpose because your mitochondria is sensing it's not getting what it's needing in terms of like be able to create energy, but also you're in danger now and I need to like preserve resources. So no matter what you do in terms of like, you know, the foods that you're eating and the exercise and hitting it hard, actually it's depleting it even more
Yeah.
because it's sending that signal of, when you're doing high intensity, your body doesn't know the difference between that and you're getting chased by something, you're chasing something. So it's in that additional fight mode and you're additionally getting more depleted, additionally being told your mitochondria is sensing danger, more slowing down. And so now you're fighting your body, you're fighting your chemistry. And again, you're not going to win in terms of like cravings, nutrient deficiencies, and lack of sleep. Like you're not going to be able to do that. And so your body's going to send you all these additional signals. And you think that it's because you're doing the wrong thing because you're following the narrative, but it's actually, your body's trying to do something here and you're ignoring it and trying to override it and you're not going to win. And that's why what Tanya is saying about these primal inputs, you're giving it back. Okay, this is what you need. I'm going to stop and I'm going to listen. I'm going to give you that safety. I'm give you that oxygenation, hydration, sunshine so that you can know that you're safe and that you can actually start getting everything else back online again.
Mm-hmm. I look at this infertility this, dip we're having, and then how people are spending tens of thousands of dollars. And I was speaking to somebody the other day, and I said, you can shell out the money, or you can start to work on some pretty basic lifestyle skills to get your body back into safety because you are
Yep.
not going to procreate,
Nope.
even with an artificial thingamabooby, if your body does not feel safe to hold a baby.
Yes,
So it breaks
absolutely.
my heart because the direction we pull people. So for example, you don't have energy, you take a Red Bull or whatever, and you're just or sugar, and you're falsely
Monster.
elevating your
Yeah,
energy.
drink. Yeah.
You can't sleep at night because you haven't learned how to signal melatonin and in your body properly by getting morning sunlight. So you pop a pill at night, and so we are just completely uh, messing up our
Mhm.
bodies.
We're deranging our body systems even more, trying to
Yeah,
help it. When your body is so intelligent.
it's
We were
so
able to
intelligent.
form human beings in our bodies without all this oversight and micromanagement, and and grow and become adults, right? And with all the, but then we're doing all these little tweaks and strange manipulations when our body's telling us the entire time Just give me the foundational things that I can take it from here, right? That's what we want. We don't
Yeah.
want to have to worry about like what's an additional medication. That medication is going to cause this additional issue because you're forcing something, right? You don't get a free ride with medication. They all cause something. They all kind of like some work until they don't work, or they cause additional issues, or they cause nutrient deficiencies, right? And
Yeah.
so I think there's such a push, and part of the reason why people, to what you were saying before, believe that type 2 diabetes is for life is that's what medical model is telling them. And
Yeah.
so you take this forever, and it really does. We've seen, I'm sure you have, time and time again, that shift, high blood pressure and blood sugar imbalances shift through lifestyle, and nutrition is such a strong lever for sure. So
Yeah.
that's just the narrative. It's not that's not what it is. And as you said, also, if you look at a few generations back, they didn't have to do all this stuff.
There
It
was
wasn't
there was not. We are in a lifestyle disease era. It's not
mhm,
genetics, it's
right,
lifestyle. And if you don't want to
right.
believe that, that's fine. You can read lots of books that support that. And you know, another big craze right now is peptides, all the synthetic peptides. Again, GLP-1 is a peptide, your body can produce it naturally.
Right. Hmm.
And you know, anybody who's been following along knows that my sister and I are wearing this phototherapy patch, which is just a salt sugar solution. We patch it. I have it on the back of my neck. And it is using your own body's heat to put back into your body to activate copper peptide. So, what I look at with people is I always go, you know what, how can I use my own system to encourage it to signal better, because as you age the signals are getting slower, not as not as clear. And so I am like, I am not injecting myself with a synthetic peptide. I am going to so anyway, my sister and I've been doing this, and her results are absolutely phenomenal just by using, again, her own it's called biophoton, um,
Hmm.
and activating systems in your body and your signals again. So there are a lot of things you can do that are really simple, very simple, um, to get yourself back to health without like the overuse of willpower, deprivation, foods you don't want to eat, moves you don't want to do. Like there are some things that you can do that are pretty simple. And that's what I always say to people, find the easy. Let's find the easy. We don't need to start hard. Find the
No.
easy and then let's go from there. Let's make it fun. Let's make it fun. And so again, do you have people that want to do that or not? So um,
Yeah, I think that's the messaging, I guess how you show up and what you talk about, it attracts people who are like minded. It'll either repel people, which is fine. I mean, if we don't agree, I can't
yeah.
help you. And then, right, the way you show up in your messaging and your own lifestyle, I think attracts who resonates with what you're doing. And so then they show up. And so I find women, I guess when we're having a conversation about whether to work together, these are the things I can tell
Mhm.
whether it's going to be something that'll be helpful or if that's not really where they are. And
Now, what are some shifts you've made going through this menopausal adventure?
yeah, so I have been basically, I mean, I was so burnt out, especially when became an empty nester. And my husband is the one with the terminal diagnosis, by the way. And so my second husband, and I'm taking care of my mom. And so I mean it's been really stressful. I'm looking at everybody else, taking care of everybody else. I just kind of disappeared, and as a health coach, right? And so when I became an empty nester, one of the big shifts was to sit and do nothing in the morning in the sunshine, and it was so hard, Tanya. It was like I needed to do something. And of course that was the hugest indicator of I don't
That,
feel safe just being. I
mhm.
am not able to just be right now. And that's really what I need because I was so burnt out and I was doing all the right things, right? But nothing was really because behind the scenes, my nervous system was saying, I got to do this, I got to do this. This person isn't safe unless I do this, right? And so the things that you talked about um, shifted everything. I mean, even just down to, like you said, it's like a domino effect of all things. My energy came back online. I was able to actually process, carbs better. My chemistry changed, so my blood sugar was more balanced. Sleep was really a lot better. I actually did try bioidenticals, but I was looking at it's a hair tissue and mineral analysis, which is actually a tissue sample of your
Hmm.
hair, what's growing out. And I could tell that my metabolism was really slowing down. And it could tell you when you're in a chronic state of stress and depletion, what your adrenals are doing. Sodium cravings, because adrenals, aldosterone needs the sodium. So I was constantly having those cravings. And then the calcium magnesium manages your blood sugar, and that was imbalanced. So, of course, that's why I was spiking high. My adrenals weren't able to bring the sugar back up once it went to a dump. And so I all of a sudden had no energy and felt like I need to bring more energy in. So that caused that need to have more food because my body wasn't able to actually regulate itself. So these foundations that you were talking about, I just really went in deep with these foundations. Like you said, they're not complicated, but also they're not expensive. It doesn't have to be expensive. With functional medicine, I mean, usually out the gate you run 5 labs and you look at what's going on with your hormones. Do you have any gut pathogens? What's going on with your food sensitivities, those kinds of things. But if you're actually balancing foundation, because those are actually downstream symptoms of stress and all the other things. But if you're able to actually bring in those foundations and get nutrients in your body, see if you're actually absorbing and breaking it down. And you can see that with this test with if you don't have sodium, or zinc, you literally can't make digestive enzymes. And is it really getting in, like you said, into the cell? Because if it's not getting in the cell, nothing else is going to really work as well. So I just worked on, putting a pinch of sea salt or structuring the water, which is, that helps. And making sure that I have my minerals and overdosing on, high nutrient dense foods in their whole form. And a lot of it was nervous system work, just because of my life and what's happened, it wasn't safe. Literally, so it felt like somebody was going to die every single day. Is the person okay? Are these my people okay? And prior to that, I helped my stepdad through his end of life. So literally it was like, is he safe? Is he
Hmm.
safe? Is he safe? So my brain and body got conditioned to bracing itself for something really bad happening. And I feel like I'm not unique. A lot of us are caregiving and there's work and all these other things. Your body doesn't know the difference between multiple kinds of stress and, life and death situations. And so a huge part of it is, like you said, with fascial work, I mean, just stretching and making sure your mobility, that kind of thing, and minerals, making sure balancing. And that's the only lab I run now because it could add up to $1,000 with the labs we usually run. And getting back on that, a lot of supplements, every lab maybe gives you like 5 or 6 supplements. Suddenly you have a handful of supplements and expensive, right? And I really strongly feel that health and well-being should be accessible to everybody because it is. And so that's why I've shifted away from running a bunch of labs and relying on all the supplements. Sometimes it's needed, but for the most part, nutrition, food is the most powerful medicine. And it's also good to realize sometimes, they're different numbers, but like an orange from our grandparents' day
Yeah.
was now going to be like what, 5, 6, 7. I've heard like a lot.
Hmm.
Um, to get the same amount of nutrients because we've over farmed our soil. And plus, it's very contaminated as well. And so, because of all the chemicals and everything we put in, it's going to kill off a bug. It's going to hurt us too. And so, sometimes supplementation is necessary, but then you also look at the quality and source of your foods that make a huge difference. So, um, doing all of these things and not overcomplicating. And I don't run a whole bunch of labs. And like I said, it depends, right? If you need to run them. But I start with the foundations and then see what your body has to say about it. And the way that I, look is how you're feeling, how you're presenting, your mood, and getting the foundations down. And then I just look at your tissue sample to see what's going on with your minerals, because that gives me a lot of information about your nervous system, your stress response, if you're actually absorbing, right? If it's all low, you're not absorbing the food, even though you're eating really well. We see that a lot. And as you said, to your point with fertility, if you don't have the ability to, I mean, your baby is taking those minerals and
Yeah.
nutrients. If there's anything to take from, they will not thrive. And post pregnancy, we see something called 4 lows quite a bit where there isn't anything there. And so there's no repletion attention to repletion. There's some cultures, like in my culture, your mom, somebody close to you comes to you, and for 30 days, they cook for you and make sure because they
Mm.
know at that time, if you don't recover, it's hard to ever recover. And a lot of us have had multiple pregnancies and kids. And so that is going to impact your mood, energy, and vitality, so I
Well,
feel like just,
you hit the nail on the head there with culture again. Like I
yeah,
had no family support after giving birth because we live in my mom
we
lives in
all transplant, right? We've
yeah,
moved away from our people, our community.
yeah.
And
And you just go, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get the baby
yes,
badge. I'm a
it's
type
just
A.
me
I'm
and,
gonna get it
my
done.
partner.
Yeah.
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 And we
No,
weren't meant to survive that way.
it is a skill to ask for help.
Yes,
Um,
100%.
yeah.
Yes, that's another pillar, isn't it? And
Oh,
the other thing we didn't talk about that I know just based on what you were saying, community and accountability, people who get it is so important. And that's why I used to be a little bit shy about like find somebody to help and work with you and coach you. But no more, because we do need somebody who understands this is wisdom that should be passed down to other people.
yeah.
But we also need to make a living too, right? So it's like find
Yeah.
somebody who you resonate with and who's saying something that makes sense, and then get into a community. And you have a community, right? So because I've the biggest things I've ever done in my life has been with community and support. And there's nothing like going in, being vulnerable, and saying this happened, and having 10 people. It doesn't matter if they have a solution or not. Say, I hear you, I understand you, I'm praying for you, whatever it is, because you feel like you're not alone, you are supported, people do care. And I think that we have too many of us don't have anybody we can call out for support, and we don't tend to ask for help. Gen X, hello, because we were told to figure it out. Like latchkey kids, we didn't have people immediately there to save us. And so, and women and caregivers, we're supposed to be helping other people. We're not supposed to ask for help, right? That's not something that's on the table. And
Mm-mm.
so, yeah, this is a kind of an unwinding of programming that wasn't meant to be healthy for human sustainability, because we're social beings. And so doing this in isolation is daunting. And healing doesn't always feel like a straight line. And you
It is
need somebody to
not
be
a
able to
straight
tell
line.
you that horrible feeling that you're getting, oh, that's actually progress, because that's actually because you're detoxing from these things. Maybe wait these days, or maybe like bring some things, slow it down or whatever. But it's so valuable to have a guide, right? Like if you're climbing this mountain, you've never been there, like, okay, there's a steep climb here, or there's going to be a bit
Mhm.
of a dip. It's okay. You might get exhausted here. Let's take a break. That's kind of like the healing journey. And it's good to have somebody to guide you, because then you'll understand what it is and what to do.
Yeah.
And to your point about weight loss, that's often the last thing to show up, because your body needs to get healthy to drop that weight. And if it's not healthy, it won't. But I have a list of things that I have people look at, that like brain fog's going. I don't have to eat every 5 minutes. This is your metabolism and chemistry shifting. Right, less bloating, less aching in joint and hands. All there are so many things that show up, not less gas and bloating, that's actually showing progress. That's not weight loss. Actually, you can drive yourself, and then you can actually gain weight as you're healing. And then you drop it and you stop, when that's amazing, right? And the more I guess, quote, issues or symptoms you're having initially, means that you kind of probably need it more, because your body's now saying, oh, now there's room to detox, now there's room to, and it's like excited and trying to like shift, right? Because it's a biochemistry shift. And so it will cause certain symptoms and issues. But when you don't understand it, you're going to think that's regression, when that's
Yeah.
progress. And so having somebody who understands these things tell you makes the process so much easier. Even if it's not easy, these are signposts that you're missing because you're not understanding the journey. And so it's really important to find somebody to help guide you, and a community, because when you see other people, it's like 4 minute mile. You see somebody do it, then you're like, oh, that's available to me. Like this
Hmm.
isn't like I'm stuck, it's never going to happen, it's not going to happen for me. And there's something about women in community too, we help each other out. Oh yeah, that happened to me, I tried this, maybe this, and it shifted things. And so maybe it might not be the right thing for you, because again, everybody's different, but just to know that that person figured it out, patterning, seeing people course correcting and figuring it out in real time, embeds in your brain, okay, that's available to me. So I
Yeah.
think community and coaching is very valuable in this situation because we are getting coached anyways with the influencers and people who don't know what's going on with your biochemistry, lifestyle, and
Yeah.
mindset, right?
Oh,
And you're getting harmed. I'm sorry, but if you're not seeing progress, you think this is the right thing because everybody should be doing this, right? Everybody should be doing HIIT. Everybody should be lifting heavy. Everybody should be eating high protein, protein first, and everybody should be on hormones right out the gate. Everybody should be on GLP-1s. Peptides are the thing everybody should be on. That's not right for everybody, and it can harm quite a bit of people. And you don't want to be doing some of these things forever, hopefully, because your body is not designed for that. And it can do a lot of things itself. Why not let it do it itself, right?
so true. Everything you just said. Everything you said. It's a journey. You go up, you go down, you do twirly whirlies. It's not a straight line.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
this weird vortex. It's not a
Yeah.
straight line, if
Yeah.
only. But that's part of the fun, right? I mean, if you want to look at it that way,
Oh,
like
I
I'm
do.
learning. You're
Yeah.
learning about your body. I know you said that earlier about fun, and it's fun when you're doing it with other people. That's why they hate people, I guess, because we do crazy things in a group. But this isn't crazy. This is like, it's in a journey of discovery, self-discovery, and
Yes.
optimizing. And we all get to do it together if we find the right group.
Yes. And I love what you said too. I know a lot of people come in for weight loss, but I really think if we really start to get honest with ourselves and tap into how we're feeling, we feel when we've eaten something that doesn't make us feel good, that's robbed our energy. We know what we feel like if we haven't slept well. You can learn, if you just listen to your body, you can learn a lot about it. And I know a lot of people just shut off what they're feeling, but I know it's important to tap into what you're feeling. Oh my gosh, we could just keep talking. Let everybody know where they can find you. And maybe we do another episode so we can get
Absolutely. That.
deeper into some of the things we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been so much fun. So you can find me on Instagram at Dori Martin. Actually, yeah, Dori Martin, Midlife Energy, midlifeenergy.dory. Sorry, I'm just thinking about all the things we were talking about. So yeah, midlifeenergy.dory. And you can find me at my website. That's where you can find about a little bit about my background and what I do with how I coach people. That's dorimartin.com. So those are probably the two best places to find me. But I love your vibe. We're so aligned all the way down to the whole circadian and deuterium is another conversation. But yeah, that's like something that's advanced, I think.
Yeah,
But I mean,
that's
all the
advanced.
foundations of it is so that makes you what you do and how you do it gives me so much hope because it feels so bleak. I mean, it's not a lot of voices that are speaking about these things quite this way. But you also look like you're glowing. So you're also you know, walking the walk, which I don't see
Yes.
always, but I mean, that's really beautiful. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you as well. Yes, we do need, I love what you said about influencers because I don't pay attention to any of them, anybody that's watching. Even one of my peeps I do listen to said they're a cancer on society because they are just propagating myth and selling products and quick fixes. If you find one that's actually doing good work, let me know. But I'm just being very black and white with
No,
that.
no,
But
no. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, if you look at my Instagram, that's why I'm not there very much because I do
oh,
feel like there's so much that you really can't say, except, and I've said it, right? Sunshine. You can say that because that's basic human needs. But then when you start getting to more specific stuff, I feel like you're actually doing harm if the person doesn't have a context. There's always context.
yeah,
And within 1 minute, you can't get it all in. And so I'm really, yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, not so active there. That's why I think the website's probably best place to be because I mean to find me and to find people because they get to tell you more. And then there has to be a conversation or interaction to really understand because a person can have the great information, but if there's something that's a disconnect or it just even personality or
well,
some tweak,
this is the
whatever,
other
it's
thing
hard to
I
work
find
with.
too, because I find sometimes I do myself a disservice because I'm not just going, I want to know you. Like you just said, I want to
Right,
know you so we can
right,
build, not just like go buy this pill and you'll be okay, or take this
right.
peptide. It's like, what's the best next step for you today? So yes,
Right.
and I love connecting with people like you who you reached out to me yourself. You care about people. You want to help people, thrive in their health. It's so important. And I've had some interesting people reach out to me that want to be on my podcast, and I've pulled up some of their Instagram, and I'm like, no way. There is like nothing real about you. You are real. So thank you.
Well,
I
thank you so
appreciate you
much.
coming on.
You
So,
as well.
ladies, thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please share it. It is the grassroots of you guys sharing, of having the courage to share this information with your friends to empower and educate them. Because, listen, I've got some besties and I want them around me for a long time. So, it's like we are helping to lift each other up through health and vitality and just, oh my gosh, love and kindness. So please, in your hearts, feel free to share this, like it, comment, reach out to Dori or I. And thank you for being here, everybody. And with that, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you, Dori, for being my lovely guest today.
Thank you.